How would you like to double your money in today's crappy economy, right? Don't we all want to look for a nice place to stash some of our hard-earned money where it can grow? Well, stay tuned because I'm going to tell you just how Rocket Lab stock is going to double your money. Even after Rocket Lab's last launch failure on this past mission, let me tell you what, stock analysts from major firms are saying that Rocket Lab stock is a buy, and I'm gonna have to agree with them on that. This little mishap that they had is just a bump in the road on the way to huge success for Rocket Lab. And I'm gonna show you that. So let's go ahead and go over what the big analysts have been saying since that launch failure. Here we have the latest stock analyst ratings, and let me just point something out. Here is why I think that this is just a confirmation that Rocket Lab stock is going to double. So this, look at this. This was before the launch mishap. So this is ratings from August, and by Citigroup and Wells Fargo. And even back then, they were saying, hey, the stock is going to go from being around $4, a little bit over $4, both Citigroup and Wells Fargo, and they're saying it's going to jump to like 7 or the high 6, right, for their price target. Now, this is what's interesting. So even before the launch failure, they were still predicting some upside. However, after the launch failure, these are pretty recent, around September 27th. Here we have some brand new ratings coming out by TD Cowen and Stifel and the Roth MKM, and they are all projecting that the price targets, and these were dropped from previous targets by the same one, so they're projecting that they're going to go between 8 and 10. This one, Wells Fargo, look at they don't know what they're doing. Never was a fan of Wells Fargo. They're predicting it's going to go down, but everybody else is saying, hey, this stock is going to go between $8 and $10 a share. Now, $8 and $10 a share, that's 100%, of the price range where we're at now. And this was after the mishap happened. So even after the mishap, they're saying, okay, yeah, we downgraded what we had before from 11 to 10 and, 9.5 to 8. But that still gives us upside of, an average, I would say, of 100% after the launch failure. These top three were after the failure, and their average is, well above 100%. So this just goes to show that even with some top analysts here, we're looking at Rocket Lab stock, within the next 12 months, possibly doubling. So now, now that the stock has been beaten down with this mishap, now it would be a good time to double down for a double, literally. Recent article from Virginia Business, and I found this interesting because the Morgan Bailey, who's the Senior Director of Communications at Rocket Lab, is basically saying Electron does not fly humans, and neither will Neutron at first, but we are developing Neutron to be capable of manned missions in the future. Okay, so literally the Senior Director of Communications at Rocket Lab is saying that Neutron will have manned missions in the future. It's being developed for that. And that's another reason why I think the stock is going to double. Now think about it. Only SpaceX, pretty much, is doing manned missions to space. Not many other launch companies are even capable of doing that right now. So right now, Rocket Lab is essentially saying they are preparing to be the next company that accomplishes manned missions to space with Neutron. This is big. The potential alone, once Neutron is realized, is going to send this stock soaring. Now, Neutron is scheduled to be tested in 2024. Hopefully we will see the Neutron rocket in 2024. I know they're working hard on it over there at the Rocket Lab facility, Wallops Island, Virginia. So I am super excited about Neutron. That is going to bring about the potential for the stock to double alone right there with the Neutron rocket. Here's a big thing. In 2024, there is going to be a lunar landing mission. Okay, so Firefly has the Blue Ghost lunar lander, and they happen to be partnered with Rocket Lab's solar panels. Now, Rocket Lab acquired SolAero, which basically creates these small solar panels to power the craft. And this is big because Rocket Lab is going to the moon vicariously through none other than their launch competitor, Firefly, which goes to show, hey, we're all in it to win it, right? From Firefly to SpaceX to Rocket Lab, they're all working together alongside NASA. So even though they're competitors, they are friendly competitors because they are buying from Rocket Lab. That goes to show, heck, even with a mission failure, Rocket Lab is still generating revenue with its space systems, its solar panels, not to mention, get this, on that Blue Ghost lunar lander mission, Firefly is also utilizing Rocket Lab's flight software that Rocket Lab acquired through the acquisition of ASI. So not only is Firefly utilizing Rocket Lab's solar panel arrays, now they're using their flight software. That, let me tell you what, that right there should just double the stock alone. Because think about it, all the other space companies are using Rocket Lab products for their products. Now, normally it's not good to talk about politics, right? Yeah, because in the US you have the Republicans and you have the Democrats, and what a mess. I'm not gonna really go into political parties, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna have to, and I'm gonna break it down to you why the 2024 election isn't just crucial for America, I guess, but also for Rocket Lab stock and to increase the chances of doubling within the next year. So 2024, let me tell you what, big year. And I'm going to go into why, depending on who gets elected into office, how this is going to greatly affect Rocket Lab and the budget that NASA receives. So think about it, the bigger budget that NASA gets, the more missions NASA's going to want to do, the more money gets trickled down to the launch providers and the space system providers. So please keep that in mind. This is not, vote for this person or vote for that person. Not at all. This is just going over, what we may see happen depending on who gets elected. Another reason why I think Rocket Lab has the potential to double next year in 2024. Look what's coming around, people. The 2024 election, okay? Depending on who wins this election could also determine a lot of things like defense spending and funding in the United States. Now, we need to see what's going to happen in this election because depending on who wins, we might see more inflow into Rocket Lab as a defensive stock. Or whoever is in office wanting to bolster the United States Space Force and defenses. And a lot of people might not like this guy right here. Yeah, the China. This guy. No, he started the Space Force. If he wins, we're going to see more spending in the Space Force division. Biden's NASA budget basically proposed a 7.1 increase over this year's level. So this is in Biden's era. He did about a 7.1 increase to go to NASA and space and exploration and all that jazz. So let's compare this to what President Trump did when he was in office. All right, when Trump was in office, he called for a budget raise for NASA to go to NASA for an increase of 12% over the current year's funding. So Trump went for 12, Biden went for about 7. So clearly Trump is way more supportive of budgeting towards space programs and exploration and spending. So as you can see here, I'd imagine with the 2024 elections, depending on who gets voted in, we're going to see a difference in spending on space, exploration, and defense, depending on who becomes president. So that's going to be a big factor. Honestly, I'm not into politics. I like being like Switzerland and neutral. But I will say, I do believe if Trump gets into office, I do think that Rocket Lab stock will go higher. So I gotta tell you, depending on who gets elected, it could affect the stock bigly. You know what I mean? Yeah, like bigly. The political parties, and I don't want to say political parties, but the candidate that gets in office, depending on what their goal is for NASA and Department of Defense and Space Force, will definitely affect Rocket Lab's stock price in 2024. So we will see what happens. So between, the potential for Rocket Lab's Neutron rocket to have manned missions, along with Rocket Lab's competitors buying Rocket Lab products for their missions, not to mention the politics of the 2024 election. Oh my goodness, so many things are going to factor in to Rocket Lab stock price doubling from where we see it today. It is huge potential for it to happen. Is there a chance that it might not happen? Yeah, but let me tell you what, I have high confidence that this stock is going to double. It will most likely double within 12 months. It could take longer depending on if there are delays with Neutron. But for the most part, if all the ducks get in a row and everything goes well, we could see Rocket Lab stock easily being $9, $10 a share within the next year. And if you want to hear more about Rocket Lab stock, as well as other aerospace companies and eVTOL companies, be sure to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss when I put out a video. I'm definitely going to be asking the audience what stock, what space or aerospace or eVTOL stock they want me to cover next, in addition to the Rocket Lab Saturday. So I will be putting a poll out on my X/Twitter account, where you can find me under the handle StockTrekGirl. Or if you don't have a Twitter/X account, you can also leave it in the comments below what company that's on the stock market that is aerospace related or an eVTOL company that you want to see me review. And always, until next time, invest long and prosper.